Hey guys, Ogi-san here and welcome to the channel. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and in this video I want to share with you guys my opinion of D4 after playing the beta for well over 30 hours this past weekend. I got really into it. I got every single class up to 25. I did a couple of builds on all of them. Just going to share with you my thoughts, my opinions, a couple of key points in this video to go over, some good things and bad things about Diablo, and overall what I just think of Diablo so far. Obviously it is only a beta and this is a really small amount of the game that we did get. English is hard. So take everything you are hearing in this video as a grain of salt and just my opinion. Your opinion could change, you could love it, you could hate it, it's totally up to you. But off of what we have, this is what I got. So without further ado, let's hop into the video now, shall we? So topic number one, I want to talk to you guys about the graphics and the world building. It's really good. The music, the graphics, the everything, the area, the game looks really good. Like in videos and stuff online, it doesn't look that good because of uploading and buffering and all kinds of stuff that they always bring down the quality. But actually when you play it and you see it in game, it looks very good. For an ARPG, it's probably the best looking one I have ever seen. And it just adds that like sense of exploration because you want to explore the world and see what there is to actually see, and all the fine details in everything. The dungeons themselves look amazing. Like the layout of them is pretty bad, and we'll go over that in a little bit over when we get to dungeons. But just graphically and visually, the game is stunning, and the abilities and everything, they also are really good. They're not anything over the top crazy animations, but everything looks and feels so good and smooth, and there's a weight to your abilities and behind your character, so you don't just feel like you can click behind you and your character will just like instantly do a skill behind you. You actually have to like turn around slowly, and everything just feels alive, and it's great. I love that with the dark setting. They nailed the setting and the graphics and everything. So that is a really good point. And then we're going to move on to point number two, the story so far. So far it's pretty interesting. I definitely want to see more and where this actually goes between Lilith and Inarius, or Imperius, or whatever his name is, I forget. One of the two, I think it's Inarius. But where this actually ends up and how this all goes. The story kind of catches you and brings you in wanting to figure out more. But at the same time, I'm like, who the heck are we? Like, who is our character? Why are we just randomly there in the middle of a snowstorm? Freezing half to death, being saved by like a wolf spirit or something. And who are we? Like, what is our place in the story? Are we a Nephilim? What are we? So that I hope they tell us more in the coming acts, because our character is just kind of like some crazy dude that ended up wanting to have a cool adventure, and he just got like flung into the middle of this all, and he's like, really? Oh yeah, I'm just an okay guy. I'm gonna go ahead and kill all these monsters and clear out this dungeon? Sure thing, why not? I love killing things and loot. So let's go for it. Is he like literally just a gamer in a medieval Diablo-esque world? Because if we have a cool ability, we're a Sork or something, and we're like, hey, they want us to go kill stuff and get loot for it. Like, hell yeah, I want to go kill stuff and get loot for it. So yeah, the story, besides our character, is pretty interesting so far. All the stuff with Lilith and Iris and Rathma as well, with the key and all that kind of stuff. So interesting, but who the heck are we? As long as we figure that out, I'll be happy with the story, but I'm sure we'll get into that in the later arcs in the game, in the acts. So hopefully we'll see more of that. And then moving on to topic number three for me, the dungeons are poorly designed with objectives that you have to clear in them, especially the ones where you have to pick up the bloodstone or the key, all of those things. You've got to take them back to the gate on the pedestal. You have to put them there to progress to open the gate to get to the next part of the dungeon. So that's at least twice that you're actually backtracking through the dungeons to go look for these keys. And you also can't carry more than one at a time. Your character literally picks it up and puts it on their back, so you can't actually carry more than one. You have to go get one, take it to the gate or key or pedestal, whatever it is, then you've got to go get the other one. And in one dungeon there's actually 3 of these. You have to go through the whole dungeon, backtrack 3 times once you've reached to the key, put it in the pedestal in the middle. Well, actually, the one of the 3 had actually spawned the boss right on the pedestal, so it was a little bit better. But overall, the backtracking in the dungeons and the objectives just don't seem all that fun. And then there's another one where you have to kill all the mobs in the certain dungeon to progress to the next part of the dungeon. And in my opinion, that's not that fun, because you could miss a mob right at the entrance or something, and then you've got to really backtrack through the whole dungeon just to find this one little skeleton or something hiding behind a statue that you've never seen. So in my opinion, that's not that great, although they do make it a little bit better by actually lighting up all the mobs with red dots on the minimap as soon as you actually like discover near the area. So when you get these dungeons, you got to really make sure that you explore all the side rooms and don't miss anything on the way while you're progressing through it, because if you miss one mob, you'll be backtracking all the way and to go get that mob just to progress a little bit further. But then they could fix these with nightmare dungeons. I actually have no idea what nightmare dungeons will add. I hope it doesn't just add like bosses with more health, like bullet spongy and more affixes and stuff like that. I hope it actually changes up some mechanic in the dungeon, because that would make it actually pretty fun and give us something new and exciting. Again, this is only the beta and it's the first act that we have got, so maybe the dungeons do progress and get better and like better mechanics further on. But so far, I'm not impressed with the dungeons. They look great, but they don't feel so good to go through. Pretty boring, repetitive, especially the ones we have to backtrack in it. And then there's the animus ones as well. You got to collect all the animus from the elites and place it in the thing. And then you've got to either open 2 levers or kill a bunch of elites or like something else just to progress to the next part. Not overall that fun. I mean, it's fun enough because the combat is really fun and that really carries it. But just these backtracking things, I'm not a fan of backtracking. As you know, in ARPGs, you got to go fast, you got to be efficient, and that's how you win these games. But overall, not too bad. So moving on to topic number 4 are the bosses. Now the bosses are nothing major, although we have only seen the first few acts of bosses. There's nothing overly complicated with them. Most of the time it's just kill this, or if they spawn mobs, kill the mobs, kill them. And the only real bad thing so far that I could see with the bosses is that it's really not melee friendly. I'm looking at you, Barbs. I know Barbs are getting a lot of flack in the beta. They are not weak, they're just underloved, or how would you say, underappreciated. They can do some crazy amounts of damage. I have a build up on my channel about Hoda Barb, and I was wrecking things with the Hoda Barb. But how the fights are designed and stuff, it just feels so badly designed for melee. Because, for example, there's this one fight where this boss summons a poison cloud on the ground, like a poison puddle. He's like, alright, this is it. I'm living here now. This is my new house. He puts up a tent and he sits there, and what do? You've got to either build up a shield to like heal through it. You've got to have enough healing or enough defense to just stand in the poison cloud along with him and beat him down in the cloud. Or you just stand away, like run far enough away so that he kind of like de-aggro, so he has to come towards you. So a little bit unintuitive and badly designed in my opinion. Whereas the Sork can just sit there and chuck up hydras, and she like, the boss is like, oh look at my puddle, this is my house, and the Sork's like, cool, I don't care, my hydras are gonna kill you, I'm just gonna sit here in my house 100 miles away from you, 2 screens down, killing you without moving a single finger. That's like, why would you play a Barb if you're trying to be efficient and fast? They are fun classes, but the bosses and everything are just poorly designed around melee. And obviously the rogue is like a mix between melee and range, so they can get in and get out and do all kinds of stuff, so they can just do whatever they want. Yeah, the bosses so far, from what I've seen, are not that great. I hope they do some better mechanics with them later on, or just make it, add it, if it's not too difficult to add to the bosses when they make an AoE on the ground, for them to actually move out of it as well. And that could, on its own, fix up a lot of problems right there. Because then you can actually get uptime on your Barb. You don't have to stand in a puddle and just face tank it. Unless that's just how it's meant to be, then you've got to build really defensively on your Barb, or just build so offensively that you can theoretically just heal through it, or damage him enough through it so that it doesn't kill you before it kills him, something like that. But overall, we'll see how the bosses go with that. So nothing special on the bosses part. Moving on to number 6. The classes are really fun to me, and each one does feel pretty different. The obvious outlier and OP builds and skills where Sork is just miles ahead of anything else. The poor Barb is left in the dust, but overall I really enjoy playing all 3 classes. I got them all up to 25 and made some builds on them. With Barb, it was definitely the hardest one to find a build that works. I tried this like min-maxing, I don't even know what words to use, of like making a whirlwind build on him, but it was just way too weak to be clearing at a decent speed. But it did show some potential with the later on skill trees and perks and things that I could actually pick up for it. I could make like a full-on berserking whirlwind build. So I look forward to seeing what we can actually do with that, but early on the Barb feels a lot weaker than the other 2. But then I feel like Barbs could potentially have the strongest end to late game or late to end game builds, as they can have more legendaries than everybody else, and they can have two-handed legendaries. None of the other classes can have two-handed legendaries. They can each only have one two-hander, so the sword can either use a two-hander or a one-hander and an offhand, and then the rogue can use two one-handed whatevers or a bow. And the thing I say with this is because the two-handed weapons actually give you the highest multiplier on your legendary aspects. So the barb actually has a whole nother two-handed legendary aspect that is maxed out and a lot higher than the one-hand. It's doubled pretty much. I believe the one-hand is 50% and then the two-hand is 100% of the effect. So it could potentially have a lot of potential on the barb over there, but it is a late game class and it is pretty weak in the early game, so you just have to deal with that and build around what you find while you're leveling up. If you find some legendaries, you definitely want to make use of them because you're going to need to use them on your barb to like get through smoothly. Whereas the Sock, you just summon a Hydra, you walk through, that's it. And then the Rogue, Twisting Blades, OP, Penetrating Shot is OP. Like they're both pretty strong, and I don't think Barb needs a buff. As I'm saying, like Barb is definitely a strong class and it has a lot of potential in the end game. But obviously in the beta we didn't get to test the end game, so right now Barb is the weakest out of the three. But the classes are all really fun in their own aspects and I enjoyed playing each and every one of them. So that brings me to topic number 6. The open world and public events / world bosses are all a really interesting aspect to the game, but it really makes it feel more like an MMO rather than an ARPG. But overall they were enjoyable, and the world boss, seeing everyone there came together to kill this massive boss with the screen zooming out and everything, was really fun and entertaining. I could see some problems with the world boss though, as it only spawning at those certain times. I don't know if it's going to be like that on launch. But if it only spawns at specific times throughout the day or throughout the week or whatever, some people could be at work or at school or whatever it is they may be doing, and they could actually miss that boss. And that's a lot of loot that they're missing out on, because I got about 5 or more legendaries every single time I did the world boss. I did him 4 times throughout the beta, so I think that's all 4, yeah. And then the first time actually gave me like a box that pretty much gave me another loot out of him again, so it's like I killed him twice in the same first kill, I believe. I'm not sure if that is a weekly box or a daily box, but whatever it was, you get a lot of loot from it. It's a pretty cool epic fight and really interesting, and would be sad if that is locked behind time so people actually miss it due to work and life and whatever that might be. There's an easy fix to that I could see, where they just have the boss spawn every hour throughout the day, but you can only get loot from it once a day. So you're like locked to it, to the loot pool once a day, but you can go there and help people kill it if you want to, or just gives everybody else an opportunity to kill it whenever they have time to play, whenever that may be. So that's what I think they could do with that. Not a bad thing overall. And the public events all around the world is nothing too crazy. Pretty much just feels like bounties, but with people instead. There's like random bounties that pop up around the world. Like stand on this plate to charge. You gotta stand on 4 little plates to make a charge, and then a boss spawns, you kill the boss. And just keep all, like the jar of souls pretty much, that's a bounty. You gotta collect all the souls. So nothing crazy. I mean, you do get to do it with people out in the world, so cool I guess. But the only problem I've seen with that was that so far is the only way for us to get the new resource in game, the obols, whatever they were called, like the blood shards pretty much, because then you go to the vendor and you can actually roll for them. So if those are all on like specific timers or something like that, we'll have to definitely figure out how that all works. So to farm those obols, I can actually go around farming them in like a good path and crossing all of the ones off and farming them efficiently, instead of like before we just get blood shards from Greater Rifts. So we just run Greater Rifts and then we could gamble at Kadala. So this is like the new Kadala, but like an open world event type of public event thing. So interesting. I'd definitely like to see where they take this and all, but yeah, nothing too majorly amazing there. Anyway, moving on to number 7. I'm going to talk about the loot a little bit. So the loot is interesting with the new Oculus system, being able to roll legendary affixes onto yellow items. It does add quite a bit of depth to the game and build diversity as well. Nothing like crazy like PoE levels of depth and diversity, but overall it does make it really fun, as playing in any class and you pick up a legendary, it's got like really bad stats on it. Most of the time the legendaries have pretty bad stats, so you really only farm the legendaries to take off the aspect, and then you go farm yourself some yellow loot with like the perfect rolls that you're actually after, and then you take that aspect from the legendary, you put it onto the yellow. That yellow now becomes a legendary with the aspect and also the stats that it had before, as it's a lot easier to actually get yellows and a lot faster for you to find yellows that are actually good, because you're getting like 3, 4, 5 times the amount of yellows as what you are getting legendaries. So overall, I think that's a good little addition to the game. But then I see a problem with the loot is where we get on to level scaling. That's going to be the next topic. So moving on to topic level 8. Level scaling. How that affects the legendaries and just everything in the game. So you find this perfect legendary, right? It's got the perfect aspect on it. And then that's it. You got it. Your build is now pumping. You're doing crazy damage. You're clearing out maps, everything. And you level up. What happens now? That armor piece has lost a little bit of power because it's gone down. You've leveled up, all the mobs have leveled up with you. Your legendary piece is still the same level. So the damage, the stats from it, everything like that is still the same. I mean, if it does have a legendary aspect that's major to your build, that's not going to change too much. It's only really the stats on the item. So the first level doesn't really matter at all. Second level, that's getting a little bit interesting. Third, fourth, fifth level, now that legendary is pretty much useless. It's only really giving you that aspect. The aspect to your build, but the stats are really bad because 5 levels later the stats of the other pieces are a lot higher and you're missing out on a lot of damage from that. Even though it is giving you something build defining, is it strong enough to carry you through? Because all the mobs will be leveling up with you, your legendaries won't. So then you'll have to go ahead and farm that same piece again, even though at the same time it's not that bad if you think about it, because you're only going to really farm your perfect set once you get to the max level. So then if you find one that's perfect, you're going to use it. But I don't know how the paragon is going to work once, because as far as I know, level 50 is the highest, and then past level 50 is the paragon system. But I did see at a shop in-game, a vendor where you upgrade your potions, that it says requires level 90 character. So I believe after level 50 we probably won't get any more ability skill points, but we'll go into the paragon tree and then we'll actually level up. So we'll go to 51, 52, all the way up to 90 or possibly 100, wherever the paragon goes. As far as I know, the paragon was meant to cap out at 200 points. I'm not sure if we get 1 point per level, so that would essentially mean we'll get to level 250. Or if we get a couple of points per level and like level 90 or level 100 is actually the max. But at the same time, that means we are leveling up and then the mobs will be leveling up with us. Will the loot be leveling up with us too? Or is level 50 like the max original level or loot? I have no idea how that's all going to work in endgame, but it'd definitely be interesting and something to look at if it actually turns out to be a good system or not. We'll just have to wait and see for all of that. So those are all the real topics I can think about. And my final thoughts is that Diablo is a fun game so far. I had a lot of fun playing it in the beta, and it really made me feel like coming back for more and just figuring out more about the classes and going down the skill trees, seeing what legendaries there are with what aspects there is to make a cool build around it. And I love the fact that you could find loot with like plus to your abilities of your certain class, so you could on the fly like change your build to suit that piece. Even a yellow piece could have it like plus all to defensive skills or plus all to core skills or something like that, or plus all to like your main damage skill or something, so you could boost that even more, or make a build completely around a new skill. I like that aspect of it. I like the leveling up. It was pretty fun. The story was good. And then the combat just feels really fluid and nice. Everything's so responsive and the sound is so good and everything. So I was having a blast playing it. I really enjoyed it. It is not as, how would I say this? There's not as much depth to it as I would have liked, but then at the same time, overcomplicating it is not that fun to me, because I love theory crafting and making my own builds and everything, but like PoE, you've got to have a degree in like rocket science to understand the skill tree there, and you've got to invest so much time to understanding PoE to actually start, before you start even having fun with it and getting into the real endgame builds. And then there's the maps and the different currencies and everything like that. So I feel like PoE is a difficult comparison to Diablo, as Diablo is just meant to be more of you log in, you play a little bit, you find legendary, you're doing more damage now, you make a quick little adjustment to your build, you're having fun straight away. Just a more casual approach to it, where there is build diversity, you can build a little bit to what you prefer and how you like to play, but you don't need a degree in rocket science to actually have fun. You can have fun right out of the gate, As soon as you pick up your first legendary or first yellow piece that like changes your build, you're straight away you're having fun because you're making a build around that. You're trying to figure it out, or you're just trying to figure out your own crazy build, ignoring legendaries or the yellow that you just got. So it's fun and not too complicated. Keep it simple, keep it nice and easy, because, you know, at the end of the day, we're just trying to have fun and play the game. And I did enjoy it for what it was there, a game to enjoy. I really liked it, and I can't wait to see where they take all of these things in the future and how Diablo is going to evolve, especially since it will be a live service, or like there will be a lot of updates, and where the expansions actually take it to see what we get, what they fix, and just how the game actually turns out. So far I really enjoy it, and I can't wait to see more. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it wasn't too long. If you guys liked it, please drop me a like and a sub on the channel. Helps me out so much, and I'll catch you beautiful people in the next one. Augie out.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the wind crying